I'm sure we all remember the saying from our childhood, go outside and burn off some energy. Today, we discuss that and more on Kids Health.
Welcome back to another edition of More That Matters, a subseries of Vax Matters. Today, we are joined by Rudy Macklin, the director of the Governor's Fitness Council and the Bureau of Minority Health Access and former NBA and LSU basketball player. He's here to discuss the importance of regular exercise in children. Exercise is crucial for a child's overall health and well-being, no matter the age. Rudy, good to have you here, man. How's it going?
Oh, great to be here with you all. All is going great. Having a great time here in Shreveport, and I'm just looking forward to spending some time with you all.
Well, let's begin at the beginning. Why is it important that children are exercising, and what's the benefit to their overall health?
Well, their overall health is important, and when it comes to exercise, kids have to have it. They have to burn off that energy, number one, and it puts your parents and their parents are glad to see their children out there exercising and involved in physical activity. But for their overall mindset, their bones, their muscular skeletal structure, their hearts, and as they get older, they will see the benefits of that exercise, from an early age, and it stays with you. It stays with you throughout your lifetime when you're physically active each and every day. And in Louisiana, especially, it's important, that our kids remain physically active. And as parents, we have to make sure we encourage our kids to be physically active.
So it starts at a young age, and it's really important for them to have that foundation of good exercise because, Rudy, and you've seen this all the years you've been doing what you've been doing with our young people here, that exercise really does help youngsters feel happier and less stressed. Isn't that true?
That is very much true. We believe just because they're children, they don't have stress. Oh, yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
And just because they're children, they don't have upper respiratory problems. Oh, yes, they do. It seems like today children have grown-up type of problems, health problems, and it stems from not being physically active and not eating properly. And the thing that I saw when I took this job back in 1992 was the fact that, physical education in schools were different. Some of the schools in Louisiana may offer physical education maybe twice a week or 3 times a week versus when we were young. That was a long time ago, that we had physical education 5 days a week. And that's the thing that's different nowadays. And so we have to really stay on top of kids when it comes to physical activity. That's the buzzword now. They don't use the word exercise anymore. It's always physical activity. So that's the buzzword we use now.
I got to tell you, within that answer, one of the more jarring things is, man, you've been doing this since 1992? That's fantastic.
I kind of medieval,
So look, kids aren't getting enough physical activity now, and I can't understand why. What do you think is the reason more kids aren't exercising?
The media, man. Technology as great as it is, it's really made us weaker, physically. Kids nowadays, they got all the iPads, the iPhones, and whatever type of gadgets they may have. They have to keep up with what's going on in their world in real time. And they don't get out and get the necessary physical activity that they need. We are so dependent back in the day on the schools making sure the kids had good physical activity and exercise. But when they get home, what do they do when they go home? They go to their silos or their rooms and they get on social media and talk to somebody from across the world. The world has gotten so much smaller now because of the internet and cyberspace. And so the kids really don't take the time to be physically active. And another thing that's really, I thought it was surprising when we were in school, taking physical activity and physical education, we took showers. Okay, kids don't take showers anymore when they have PE because some of them are shaving their bodies and that type of thing. But that's keeping a lot of kids from participating in physical education, believe it or not. So if you just go by any school and you just see kids sitting in bleachers, or they'll throw a ball out there every once in a while, but that's just the basic way it is. But there are some parishes that do well in Louisiana, but there's not as many as we would like.
Well, it's become kind of sedentary, our world anymore, Rudy, for, of course, adults, but of children. And they do learn by example. And if your mom, your dad, your cousins, your whatever, if they don't show you and just encourage you, it's kind of hard for youngsters to do what they need to do. And with you, you were in the NBA, you're LSU. Young people look up to you, Rudy. So thank you. As Clay said, you've been doing this since the early 90s. And thank you for not burning out. Thank you for helping our young people. And this is going to help our next generation here in our state.
It is, but I need more parents to step up.
I bet so.
Okay,
Yeah.
the parents are not stepping up. My parents would just say, "Go outside and play." That was enough for us because we would look forward to go outside and play. And we test elementary school children with the old President's Challenge, and we took it, and we have a statewide elementary championship fitness meet. And Lafayette Parish won the championship this year.
Oh.
And so, but the kids don't know they're being studied because every school and each parent, 31 parishes we have to perform those tests, and we get that data. But the thing that startles me the most is back then we climbed trees outside a lot. We used to get in trouble for climbing, the highest trees all the time and climbing fences. But the kids here in Louisiana, a lot of them cannot do one pull-up. And I'm like, that's kind of extraordinary. They can't do one pull-up. And so and that bothers me. And some of them can't even run 600 yards. Mm. And so it tells me that they're not doing having the physical activity they need, not only at school as they should, but at home. What are you doing with your children at home? Are you encouraging your children to go outside? Or do you exercise or have physical activity with your children? Mm-hmm. Participate with your children. My own son, when he was little, he was coming up. I had him outside all the time and going on physical activity things with him. But also, we've gotten so dependent on other activities that people can afford, that they pay for. A lot of people that are well off, financially can pay for their kids to have swimming lessons, can pay for their kids to participate in volleyball clubs, basketball clubs like AAU and baseball. It costs a lot of money and it's expensive. And a lot of kids and families can't afford that. So what do they do at home? They have nothing to do. And back in my day, we had Boys and Girls Clubs. They still have them in some places, but the Boys and Girls Club gave us somewhere to go to participate in these physical activities. And some of the schools, some of the neighborhoods, especially the inner city, they don't have that anymore. And so what do they do for physical activity? Where do they go to play? And so we have to look at all of those things, from a holistic standpoint to make sure kids have a place to go to be physically active after school, especially during the summertime. Mm-hmm. What are your kids going to do during the summertime? Those things you have to be, really, aware of.
What are a few activities or exercises that you would recommend for parents or someone listening? If you say, okay, get them to do something, what would that something be?
Simple as take a walk with your child. You can take a walk, long walks, in the park. That's good enough. All right. And take the time to participate in the things that they like to do. Ask them what do they like to do. And then you can show them things that you like to do. But take the time to participate. We think that we're too old. We can't get out there and move. But we can do some things. And we look silly doing it sometimes because we may fall on our face, get scarred up. But hey, the kids love that too. So get out there and just do the basic walking first, I would suggest. And also, when they involved in the other activities, maybe swimming or something like that, get out there and swim with them. But just basic participation with your children when it comes to physical activity. But I would start with long walks and keep track of your walks, as you go, and then go from there. But don't be afraid to participate in, some homegrown games that you may have that you can think of, but it doesn't take a whole lot. But I would start out with walking with my children.
And that helps a child's imagination too, Rudy, to come up with things, to be creative. Kids, I don't really think they're lazy. They just don't know any better. They want to be and they love, one-on-one with their parents or an older adult that takes an interest in them. And they want to prove that, yeah, I can do this and I want to do this. And I want to get a gold star and have somebody say, well done. Let's do this again.
Your local park and recreations have good programs for families. Okay, it doesn't take a whole lot to find out what it is, what they are, and the families can participate with the children. And but I used to love to participate in those huge gatherings, like at picnics, and everybody play games. doing the picnics and things like that. And so, I mean, as simple as I played hopscotch with my nieces, and
Oh
that's simple enough.
gosh.
I played jump rope. We had double dutch,
Oh
with my
yeah.
nieces
Yeah.
and my nephews, and I'd always participate. I always stayed in some kind of shape. And so, but all those games that we played with as children, I introduced the kids today the games we did back then. They didn't know anything about.
Didn't even have a
And
clue
so,
what they were.
they
Yeah.
never clue.
Mm-mm,
They never
mm-mm.
clue. And I introduced them to them, and they love it. They love it. Kids love it when adults participate with them
Yeah.
in any activity you do. The kids love that.
Yeah, that's quite depressing that they didn't know what double dutch was, and
And hopscotch.
I'm gonna have to test
Jeez.
that.
Oh, the hopscotch! Oh, that was great. I love that.
Listen,
Yeah.
you and I, we were talking about this before the show about working out. There is actually an emotional and mental release when you work out. What it does to your brain chemically when you're able to get physical fitness in. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I have one fear. I don't fear too many things in my life. I don't like rats and roaches. But
And now you know
I
the rest
fear,
of that story about Rudy.
yeah, and I'm afraid of snakes too. But
Okay.
when it
All
comes
right,
to other than
okay.
that, the one thing I fear the most getting older is losing my independence.
Yeah.
I fear the fear of dementia for me. And so I know studies show, and it is true, those who are physically active as you grow older, you're less likely to have dementia. All right. And I don't want that. I want to be as independent as I can be. At 66 right now, I can do a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
that people my age cannot do because I'm in the gym every morning at 4:30 a.m. And sometimes on Saturday with my buddy Rusty Price, who used to coach at Broadmoor, we get together and we always do the exercise and stretching to increase my mental capacity. Okay. First, and also my body next. But when you are physically active, the blood rushes to and from your brain, keeps you cognitively alert. And I want to keep that going. And that's my main motivation for staying in the gym every morning at 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And so I encourage people to use that as a driver as you get older. To the reason why you have to stay physically active, because I want to keep my mind sharp, and I also stay on top of the latest technology, of course, and read as much as I can to keep my mind sharp. But it starts with physical activity and eating properly. You can't do one without the other. You got to eat right and be physically active. And that's my main motivation, is to keep my mind as sharp as I can.
And it all
as I
goes
get
hand
older.
in hand, doesn't it, Rudy? It all
It
goes
does.
hand in hand.
You can't fashion one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
You got to eat right and be physically active. And we live in Louisiana. You know how the food is. Oh my God! Do not put crackers in front of me.
Yeah.
That's
Don't
what I was
put
about to
Buddha
say.
in front of me.
Hey,
oh my goodness.
hey, man, we fry butter down here. So
Oh man.
But you didn't hear it from Clay, Rudy. You
no,
didn't
no,
hear
no.
it.
I don't know anything
No,
about
no,
that.
no.
No.
It is a challenge.
Yeah,
It's a challenge.
yeah.
The food here, man. I tell you, I got to be strong. And oh man, but that's the world we live. We have
Yeah.
to be. And and living in Louisiana, and we're last in pretty much every category
Yeah.
there is, in
Mhm.
the state. And so
Yeah,
we have
unfortunately.
to really keep pushing that prevention type message every time.
And, I'm glad that you did bring up the topic of older adults here in
Yes.
Louisiana. Not only, because as a woman and as a smaller woman, I have to be careful about my bones and do all the
Mhm.
things that I need to, as you said, to age well and to age with grace. But I think a lot of people don't, the correlation when you were talking about your mental health, it really is important for you to realize that, and some older people, they're hesitant to do much of
Mhm.
any exercise because they're afraid of falling
Right.
or their
Yes.
balance might not be good. But as you said, you don't have to go to the gym to kill it. Just get
Yep.
out. And
Sure.
so many doctors
Right.
say, Diane, just go out and take a walk. Just take
That's
a
what I
good
want.
walk. Yes. And that will help your mental health, your mental state, your physical, and just breathe. Breathing's
Yeah.
pretty important. Breathing is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, it's
And
right up there with one of the more important.
yeah, in line.
Yes.
But thank you for bringing that, to the forefront about older adults. We still have a lot of life. We still have a lot of life in
yeah.
us, and we want it to be good, and we want to end well, Rudy. That's the bottom line. We
Oh, yeah.
want to end well.
Yeah, we're in the winter of our lives,
Yep.
and I'm a new granddad now. I want to
Oh,
be able to keep up. Oh,
congratulations.
Congrats.
thank you. Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in bankruptcy soon with this grandbaby, man.
That's the way it works,
Nobody,
Rudy.
yeah, nobody told me about that part. They say how
Oh,
great it is to be a
nuts.
grandparent, but
Yeah.
yeah, what about you going broke, spending too much money on them? They didn't tell me about that part. But
Yeah.
I just want to be there for my granddaughter.
You
I want to
bet.
see her. I want to see her graduate from college. She
Amen
ain't
to
but 7 months
that.
old, and
Yeah.
so I was with her last weekend, and I played with her and played with her till she fell asleep. I'm like,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
granddaddy still got it.
Yeah.
I can wear a baby out. If you
Yeah,
can wear a
that's
baby
it.
out,
Instead of
you in
vice
great
versa.
shape, man.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and Diane mentioned it uh, for seasoned citizens who may be afraid to get to the gym or do something active because they're concerned about injury. I mean, is there any advice you would give or things you would say, hey, do this and avoid this?
The first thing you need to do is don't try to do any type of physical activity or exercise alone. Get a partner
Hmm.
or partners, okay? In case something happens to you, you fall or get sick, but mainly for your mental health and to motivate one another. Sometimes I don't wake up every day, motivated and go to. Some days I'm like, man, should I go? But I know I got my buddy Fred, my pastor, my church. We work out together, and so he motivates me. I motivate him, but I always have a partner. But as
Hmm.
Diane said earlier, as simple as just a walk. A walk is so
Yeah.
beneficial, man. You can walk and talk with your friends as you go, and you realize, oh, I walked 3 miles. And it goes by so
Yeah.
fast, and it helps you balance too. Balance is going to be important to keep
Hmm.
from falling.
Yeah.
So we work on balance exercises on that half round, half moon ball at the gym, and we get on that and work on our balance and do balance exercises. One leg at a time and that type of thing. And so to make sure our balance is strong, so we won't fall, and to build up our
Yeah.
bones, you got to build your bones up to
Yes.
make sure that when
Yes.
you walk someplace, you don't just fall over. And so these things to be
Yeah.
worked on. Just because you're getting older, don't mean you can't do them. Without asking you to participate in Mr. Olympia or weightlifting contest, anything like
Right.
that. But
Yeah.
Right.
just the
Right.
simple things to keep moving. One of the guys at the gym
Hmm.
who's 87 years old, he just said, "Don't stop. Just don't stop.
Oh
Don't
gosh.
stop
Hmm.
doing what you're doing."
Wow.
And when people
Yeah.
stop,
Yeah.
and just
Mm.
don't do anything and sit on that couch and thinking that's it just because you're old. No, no. And there's people out there that be willing to participate with you at the gym. You'd be surprised. And I meet new friends all the time, coming into the gym. I'm competitive
Yeah.
still. I still tease the,
Hmm.
the young people younger than me. I said, you gonna let an old man beat you like this? Don't you have no shame? I'm 66 and I'm kicking your
Oh,
butt,
Rudy.
and you
Hey,
gonna take this? And they love
listen,
it. They love it, man. But that's what I
but
do.
yeah, but there's something to be said about starting these habits early,
Yes.
getting kids into the routine early, because it does become a part of what you do, just like anything else. So that's the other benefit. If you get kids exercising early, it just becomes a part. Like, I love it. I exercise on vacation
Oh
because I,
yeah.
I won't break the rhythm. As Diane rolls her eyes at me here in the
He caught
studio.
me. I turned away and
I
I
mean,
was caught, Rudy.
well, I mean, Stevie Wonder could have seen that one, but no, getting kids started earlier. I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Well, you mentioned something important. Wherever I travel, make sure the hotel has a fitness center in it. Okay, and when parents travel with their children, take the kids with you. But you have to start. When kids mimic what we do every day. If they're with
Hmm.
you every day, they're going to do what you do. And especially when they're at that age and maybe like 6 or 7 years old. And I really love it when I see fathers and mothers bring their children to the gym with them. All right, to show them what they
Yeah.
do. Well, you can do that with the little ones too, not bring them to the gym, but just go on your walks or your slow jogs or just do some stretching and put in your kid's mind how important to keep doing this every day. And when they see you do it every day, they're going to do it every day. And then when they have children, they'll do the same thing. So start a tradition in your family with your
Hmm.
children every day. I'm going to participate in physical activity and I'm going to take my kids with me. Take them with you. All right, and do these
Yeah.
things, and they'll continue make it a tradition. I did it with my son. I made it a tradition with him. When you with me, you're getting up and you're going to work out with me. All right. So
Yeah.
and he does it himself still. And so that's the key. Stick with it. Get your children started early. Do it as often as you can, and take them with you, and make them go with you. Okay, they're
Yeah.
too young. You got to be a little bit of a little dictatorship, and just say, "Come on, let's go."
But you're the parent
That's right.
and you're
That's
allowed
right.
to
Be the
do that.
parent.
You're the
Right.
Be the
parent.
parent.
Yeah.
Get them.
And Rudy, somebody listening today, hopefully lots of folks listening today, this may give adults the incentive to say, yeah, man, I need to start doing this for me,
Mhm.
not only for me, but for my family,
Yes.
for my youngsters, for those that I have influence over, for those who watch me, as you said, for children, for grandchildren. So this is going to give adults incentive to help too. So what advice would you give the adults to not only help them, but help them get their children, their grandchildren into this hopefully unbreakable cycle of being healthy and continuing and starting a good base for the rest of their life?
Well, you got to make a decision when you talk to people, especially loved ones. Let's start with the loved ones. You're gonna have to take a chance to say, okay, I'm not gonna worry about your feelings right now. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about hurting your feelings because I see you need to do a better job maintaining your health. You got to have that tough talk with your family members, and it's never too late to start. Some people think because they've gotten older and hadn't exercised in years, you can start again. Start slow by walking, okay? And then you got to have that talk with your family. I do it all the time with my sisters and brother. I stay on them all the time. I'm like, wait a minute now, you got to come back. You got to come back. You got to get active. When they see me coming home to Louisville, Kentucky, I mean, whoever I'm staying with, they got to get up. I make them get up.
Mhm.
That's just look. I'm the baby brother. I make them get up. But you got to let them know it's not too late to start over. You can start again. You can
Yeah.
always start again by walking and eating right and keeping track of what you do. And that's something that's you got to have that hard talk with your family, and then to get involved with them to let them know I'm gonna go through this journey with you. I'm not just doing it for just talking, but I'm gonna go through this journey with you, and it works. It shows that you love them enough to tell them
Yeah.
you need to do better.
Well, I'm sure they love you in Louisville, but they're probably not lining up to invite you to come stay at the house based upon what you just said about getting them up in the morning. But now here's the other thing. Now, we're in Louisiana, and as we record this, it's hot as fresh biscuits outside,
Oh
and
yeah.
that would divert some people from wanting to exercise because of the temperature. So why should that not be a hindrance to staying active?
There's some things you can do inside the house. You have air conditioning. Okay. Every
Yeah.
morning when I wake up, there's some stretching that I like to do before I go to the gym. For your back, I like to keep my back, in pretty good shape. I had back surgery years ago, and I always, do some stretching exercises for the back. You'd be surprised what stretching can do for you. Oh man, that's a good thing there. But there's things you can do inside your house to be physically active. There's different chair exercises. They got things all over the internet you can do. And you just go to YouTube and you'll find somebody, doing exercises for the home. There's things you can do. There's a lot of, information out there how to get started. And if you want, you can go early in the morning before the sun, comes up, before the heat gets you, or you can go toward the end of the day, near nighttime and get you walking in. But there's always time to put in at least 30 minutes. 30 minutes is all we're asking of physical activity. The least you can do is 30 minutes and it'll work out for you.
Rudy, you've given us so much information today to do the best we can, to stay on top of things, to be cognizant of what we are now and where we want to be in the future, not only personally, but for our entire family. Is there anything that you can think of that our podcast listeners need to be aware of that maybe that we didn't touch on? Some final words of wisdom you'd like to leave with our listeners today?
Don't be afraid to have that talk with your family members. And don't that's a big problem. You may have a relative that's obese. You may have a relative that just suffering from arthritis very badly. Don't be afraid to sit down and say, okay, let's do something about this. And my mother, she bless her heart, she didn't like whining children. And whenever we bring a problem to her, which is I only did really one time and thought she would solve it for me, And at the end of my talk, she would always say, okay, now what are you going to do about it? And it was always her ending phrase. And I said, well, I don't think you heard me. No, she said, I heard everything you said. And she would summarize it back to me. She said, but I want to know, what are you going to do about it? And so
Wow, wise
I
woman.
do that
Wow.
with everybody that bring me problems or bring me suggestions about physical activity and exercise and eating right. I'll listen to them and I'll let them go on with their little soliloquies. And I say, okay, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about
Yeah.
it? So then we got to have that talk with our loved ones first, especially starting with our children first, on up to our elders. What are you going to do about your condition? You know you have this problem. What are you going to do about it? And whatever you decide to do, if you need me to help you along the way, I will. But I need you to take that first step. That's the thing.
Great advice.
Yep.
So we've come to the end of the
Yeah.
show, Diane.
Wow.
What are you going to do about it?
Wow, Rudy, thank you. You well said. Everything that makes us stop to think.
Mhm.
And that's why we do this podcast.
Yeah.
We want to give as much information as we can to make our listeners stop and think for their overall well-being.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to everyone for tuning in. We hope this episode was both insightful and obviously it was incredibly informative. Make sure to keep listening to Vax Matters for more great conversations, or visit immunizations.la.gov for additional resources. See you next time, and thanks again to our special guest, Rudy Macklin. You're the best.
Take care now.